Before you listen to this BBC podcast, I want to tell you why I love podcasting. Hi, my name's Tommy Dixon, and I make podcasts for the BBC. I'm a big fan of stories, always loved a good book. But when I started commuting for my first job, I discovered podcasts. I was blown away by how a creative idea and the right mixture of sounds could take you into a whole new world full of incredible stories. You know, the type that make you go, wow. And that kind of inspired me to give it a go myself, which, to cut a long story short, led to a BBC training scheme and a whole new career giving other people that exact same feeling. So if you want to hear amazing stories that make you go, wow, like I did, they're just a tap or a click away on BBC Sounds.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast, your handy pocket-sized guide to all the news in the national game. It's Friday, the 9th of February. I'm Jane Lewis, and coming up today, it's a competition that Scotland love.
Goal! Christie cups his ears in celebration.
We'll assess an exciting-looking draw for the men's team in the Nations League. On the domestic front, we'll look ahead to a big weekend of Scottish Cup action and hear from the Bonnyrigg Rose manager ahead of their clash with Aberdeen.
We've just got to embrace the occasion. We've come a long way in a very short period of time, and really looking forward to the game and coming up against Mr Warnock.
And not for the first time can Scott Brown upset things at Ibrox.
Got a lot of love for Rangers. Yes, we are the underdogs, but there's also been a lot of cup upsets as well, and I've been part of them.
This is the Scottish Football Podcast.
Well, Robbie Horn, the Bonnyrigg Rose manager, and Scott McDermott, the Sunday Mail football writer, join us for this podcast. Robbie, it's a big weekend for you. We'll talk more about it later, but how excited are you, just briefly?
No, I'm really looking forward to the game. We've had obviously a couple of important league games first this week, so but now we can look forward to the game. We'll get a good result on Tuesday night, so hopefully going into the game tomorrow in good spirits.
And Scott, everyone loves the Scottish Cup, don't they?
It's brilliant, Jane. There's kind of little subplots, great stories, potential for a few upsets, none more so than at Pittodrie, so we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, we certainly are indeed. Plenty to get through with the chaps in just a minute or two. But first of all, let's get through the latest Scottish football headlines. Scotland manager Steve Clarke says he's relishing the challenge of taking on difficult opponents after being drawn with Croatia, Portugal and Poland in the Nations League. Sticking with the men's national team, David Turnbull says he hopes his recent move to Cardiff City will rekindle his chances of making the squad for Euro 2024. 41-year-old Craig Gordon has signed a new contract with Hearts that will keep him at the club until the summer of 2025. Rangers have had their bid to overturn Dujon Sterling's red card in Tuesday's game against Aberdeen rejected by the SFA, and Capello's a fortress for us. That's the warning for Motherwell from the Morton manager Dougie Emery as the two sides prepare to meet in the Scottish Cup fifth round this evening. That match is live on the BBC Scotland channel from 7:15. Well, we'll get to the Scottish Cup in a minute, especially, Robbie, with your team in mind. But let's start with the Nations League draw, shall we? Scotland will face Croatia, Portugal and Poland in the 2024-25 tournament. Scott, first of all, what did you make of the draw?
I think when it was being made, Jane, I'll be honest, I was probably hoping for the kind of second group with Italy and France. I thought that had a wee bit more glamour about it. But no, when you look at it now, you look at the big names involved. We've heard Steve Clarke this morning talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, Luka Modric, Robert Lewandowski potentially coming to Hampden for a kind of career swan song. It is quite exciting. We obviously owe Croatia one for Euro 2020 when they beat us at Hampden, which was really disappointing. Modric obviously ran the show that day. So no, it is exciting. Great to be in League A and with the big boys. It was good yesterday watching the minnows like England and that in the lower pots. I mean, listen, I was just thinking the main thing is what a time to be a Scotland fan just now. This year with the Euros to look forward to in the summer, a proper Euros this time in Germany. The opening game that night in Munich will be sensational. And then this, in the top section for the Nations League, which obviously comes in September. It's a brilliant time to be a kind of Tartan Army foot soldier, if you like. So we're all looking forward to it.
It's a brilliant time to be a Scotland fan, isn't it? I mean, obviously you talked about going for the glamour, but realistically, this is a draw on paper. that looks like we could maybe do something with, doesn't it? I mean, if you look at Croatia, they're a team that obviously still got brilliant players. You mentioned Modric, but they're maybe arguably not the team they were. Portugal, Martinez, the Scottish connection is there, of course, the former Motherwell player. And Poland, Robert Lewandowski, 82 goals and 146 appearances, obviously still a brilliant player. But teams that on our day, we can get the better of, aren't they?
Yeah, I just think, Jane, where the Scotland team is at the moment, where Steve Clarke's got them, I don't think there's any daunting prospects out there. No, I think we've shown against Spain in the last qualifying campaign, even Denmark, that we can get against these nations now with real confidence. We've got that kind of swagger about us again. And you're right, no, these three maybe aren't the top nations that we could have got in the draw. So I think they'll get into every game thinking they can go and win it, whether that's home or away. You're right. We've obviously got these superstars who are still playing, but maybe coming towards the end of their careers. So I think it's a real chance for us again to go and show what we can do and actually make progress on it.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I think when this competition first came out, I mean, it was all a little bit confusing and convoluted, wasn't it, how it was all going to work? But actually, it's a tournament that's been brilliant for us. And it's kind of where it all started under Steve Clarke, in a sense, wasn't it? And this momentum that's grown over the years.
It is. There was a bit of kind of cynicism, I think, at first. No, it was that it was seen as this kind of backdoor entry into big tournaments. People maybe kind of look down their nose at it. But I think you're right from the off. It's one that we kind of took to. We saw it as a real opportunity. It's when you think of this kind of Steve Clarke journey with the Scotland team, the Nations League has played a big part. And as I said at the start, for us to be in there with the top nations and get promoted to the League A, it just brings that added excitement. And listen, as you say, you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but if you can get into maybe the quarters or semis, you see the teams that have won it in the last couple of years, like Spain are the holders, they're celebrating it like a proper tournament. So even to be involved at that level with these teams would be incredible for Scotland.
You're listening to the Scottish Football Podcast.
Plenty to look forward to this weekend because it is the Scottish Cup 5th round. Lots of brilliant ties, as Scott alluded to right at the top of this podcast, in store. We'll discuss them all shortly. But first of all, Robbie, it's Bonnyrigg Rose making the trip up to Pittodrie and Aberdeen. How excited are you for this one?
Nah, very excited now. As I said before, we had a couple of really important league games that we had to get out of the way first and navigate through. But as I say, we got 3 points on Tuesday night and now really looking forward to the game. Not had a lot of time to kind of prep as much as we would really want to because of the league game on Tuesday night. So a really tough game as well for the boys. 2 really tough games we've had back to back at New Dundas at home on heavy pitches. So last night's training was very, 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 very light to be honest. And obviously we got a bit of snow last night as well during training. So boys were freezing. They were desperate to get inside last night. So there's not as much prep as we would maybe want to have done, but the game will take care of itself. We've just got to embrace the occasion. I think it's another great occasion for the football club. We've had a number of these over a short period of time. We've come a long way in a very short period of time, and now really looking forward to a game and coming up against Mr. Warnock.
Yeah, we'll talk about Neil Warnock in just a minute, but in terms of your form, 5 games unbeaten, and of course you beat Falkirk in the last round of the Scottish Cup. How much confidence does that give you? Because that was a pretty big scalp, really, wasn't it? Because Falkirk have been going really, really well this season.
Yeah, it was a magnificent result. I thought on the day we deserved it as well. A lot was made about the condition of the pitch on the day, but same for both teams. And ultimately in the day we were the better team and deserved to win. So but yeah, we take confidence from that. It's a totally different kind of game though, away from our home pitch, New Dundas. Big pitch at Pittodrie, big crowd there as well. So it's a big ask for the players, but I think they're really looking forward to it themselves now. And for me, it's important to go and enjoy these occasions. They don't come round that often. Bonnyrigg have been pretty lucky over the last few years that we've had some games like this. But we've just got to go and enjoy the occasion and give a good account of ourselves as we possibly can.
Yeah, obviously you have had some pretty decent runs in the Scottish Cup in the past. You've played some big teams as well in this stage and the previous stage as well in the past. I know you played Hibs, didn't you, in the 2016-2017 season, and you played Dundee a couple of seasons ago. How much does that experience help you and make you a better team when you're going up to Pittodrie to face the likes of Aberdeen? Aberdeen.
Looking back to the Hibs game, I felt that we didn't do ourselves justice in the day. There was a lot in the build-up to it. Obviously, again, being against Hibs, it was a fairly local game because it was getting played at Tynecastle, 13,000 people there as well. A lot was made of the Sean Connery connection before in the lead up to that game as well. Maybe the boys took the eye off the ball a wee bit, but on the day I was disappointed because I didn't think we gave a good account of ourselves. I thought we were better than what we actually showed, and really disappointed with the scoreline. So there was a few regrets probably after that game, and then kind of stuck with us going into the game against Dundee. And I felt that we managed the game really well that night, and we were very close to causing a real upset. And then I just hope again that we deal with the pressures tomorrow, and obviously big crowds. Playing against a good side who've maybe underachieved a wee bit this season, but with a new manager, I'm sure they'll be really fired up and desperate to get a big result in his first home game. So, as I say, I just hope that the boys give a good account of themselves. We come away from the game with some credit. And we look forward to the rest of the league season after it.
Well, you mentioned the new man in the Aberdeen dugout, Scott. Have you been on Neil Warnock watch?
I think we all have, haven't we? His whole career, pretty much, Jane. No, it's an exciting appointment. We like to see big characters, big personalities in Scottish football, and even around the Rangers game, obviously his first game the other night, it seemed to all be about Neil Warnock. And listen, why not? When you look at his career, 75 years old, 20 different clubs, as I say, a proper football character, and it's going to be fascinating to see how he does with Aberdeen. I do expect him to start, to get them climbing the league again. I think in his mind, he'll think that certainly fourth in the Premiership will be gettable for him. I think that will be the target, and he's already spoke. I think he said in his first day in the job that he wanted to win the Scottish Cup. Which isn't good news for Robbie, obviously, but I think that will be one of his targets. I'm just interested to know if Robbie. We all know Warnock. We've all seen the clips and stuff like that in the past. I just wonder if when Robbie was a player, if he ever came across MD, kind of Warnock-esque in the dressing room.
Unfortunately not. I would have loved to have played under Neil Warnock. He's a real character. I'm really looking forward to meeting him. I suppose the closest we've got probably is Dick Campbell.
Of course.
But it's strangely enough, we've got Warnock tomorrow, and next Saturday we play East Fife as well. So we've got Dick Campbell. So I've got two real characters of the British game in 2 weeks.
And Neil will warm you up nicely for a meeting with Mr. Campbell, won't he? Let's have a look at some of the other ties away from your trip to Pittodrie. And as you said at the start, Scott, there's actually quite a few ties that you would fancy, on paper anyway, causing a bit of an upset. I mean, you look at Inverness against Hibs, you look at Partick Thistle against Livingston. I mean, these are teams actually that if they caused an upset, it wouldn't be that much of an upset, if you know what I mean, or much of a shock.
No, especially Partick Thistle. I think, Jade, we all know Livingston have been struggling in the league, and I think the league will really be Davy Martindale's priority at the minute. So there's a real opportunity. I think Chris Doolan will see it as a real opportunity for Partick Thistle to go and progress. The only thing I would say is that I've watched the highlights of Livingston's last couple of games, and you do get the sense that they're just beginning to improve slightly, and I think their performance at Killie in the last game at Rugby Park, I think they were the better team in the first half. So I've just got a feeling that Livy are beginning to turn it around a wee bit, especially with Ross County's kind of demise in the league as well, bringing them in closer at the bottom of the table. So it'll be a tough game for Thistle, but they'll certainly fancy it. And for me, probably Inverness is the big one. I think Duncan Ferguson, we all know what he's like. He'll relish the prospect of causing a real upset. Hibs, despite a decent performance the other night against Celtic, they've obviously been toiling as well. I think they struggled big time at Forfar in the last round when Forfar, certainly in the first half, really should have been at least one goal ahead, and Hibs managed to scrape through. So I think if there's going to be one, it could well be at Inverness, who are obviously renowned in the past for their cup shocks, and I think there's every chance this could be another one.
There's also an intriguing one on Saturday, Rangers against Ayr United, and Scott Brown returning to Ibrox. What sort of welcome do you think he'll get, Scott?
Oh, I'm sure he'll get a warm one at Ibrox. Jane, I love these lines. I think it was yesterday, the day before, saying he was going to send Aidan McGeady out at Ibrox first, just to kind of take the heat off him, a wee bit. So again, listen, another guy who's a born winner. No, he's been to Ibrox obviously loads as a player and won. He'll know the odds are stacked against him going there with Ayr. But no, again, nothing will faze Scott Brown. He showed that as a player, and he'll go there. Despite Rangers' kind of brilliant form just now in the Premiership, he'll go there thinking that he can at least upset them. I think his plan will be to try and keep the crowd quiet for as long as possible, try and keep Ayr in the game, and then maybe try and have a go at them later on. But listen, it's going to be a tough task. Rangers are flying just now. Philip Clement, the upturn since he came in has been incredible. There's now, we're talking earlier on about getting ahead of themselves. I think Rangers fans now are thinking, well, we could maybe go and win a potential treble here. So they'll want to progress as comfortably as possible, but you wouldn't count against Scott Brown in anything, so he'll fancy it as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Of course, it all kicks off this evening. The Scottish Cup Sports Scene live game this evening is Morton against Motherwell under the lights at Capello. Robbie, what's your thoughts on this one? Morton going really, really well, unbeaten in their last 12 games. And although Motherwell have started to turn the corner a wee bit, the fact that it's played at Capello, the fact that Morton are on this great run, how do you see this one going? A potential upset there?
I do. I think that's a really tough tie. I think Dougie's done a great job recently. As you said, Morton absolutely flying at this moment in time. So really difficult task for Motherwell, who up until recently have been struggling. Obviously, had a great result though the other night. I think they played particularly well. Watched the highlights of that. Good performance and some really good goals as well. So that might give them a wee bit of confidence going into the game. But they needed that lift probably going into it, because I think it's going to be a really tough game. But there's some real ties that you could maybe see we upsets, as Scott's mentioned, obviously Inverness. I think Hibs a wee bit short of confidence going up there is not easy. Airdrie playing incredibly well again. Rhys McCabe's done a fantastic job there and got them playing really, really good, exciting football. Obviously Hearts are going well. I still think it's a tough tie. And the other one I thought as well, I thought Partick. Again, Chris he's done an excellent job as well, and Livingston not been at their best, and I could see them causing maybe a wee upset there.
Robbie touched upon that one of the games on Sunday, Airdrieonians against Hearts. The other game is St Mirren against Celtic. Scott, it's a tough test for Celtic away to St Mirren, because they have had their problems there in the past, haven't they? How do you see this one going?
Tough game for Celtic, Jane. I mean, I think Brendan Rodgers will just be relieved to get that late penalty at Easter Road the other night to beat Hibs, just because I think Celtic struggled a wee bit in the game. Obviously results of late haven't been great. I just wonder whether that last minute penalty will just give them that wee lift, that wee boost getting into the game on Sunday, because I think if it had finished 1-1 in Edinburgh the other night, there'd have been a huge pressure on Celtic getting into this tie on Sunday. If they'd have slipped behind in the league, obviously the potential of Rangers going top, but the thought of then going out to the Scottish Cup when they've already lost the League Cup, obviously, after a domestic treble last season, I think the pressure will be huge. I mean, it will still be big on Sunday, and St Mirren will fancy it. As you say, their home record's terrific. They've normally, I know they didn't the last time, but they've normally caused Rangers and Celtic problems at home. They're off the back of two good wins, two big wins at Easter Road and then at home to Dundee. So, Stevie Robinson will definitely think he can cause an upset. They'll fancy their chances, and I think it'll be a really sticky one for for Celtic. They're going to need a battle to get through it.
Yeah, an intriguing Scottish Cup weekend lies ahead. Time to wrap things up for this edition of the Scottish Football Podcast. My thanks to Scott McDermott and Robbie Horn, and thank you for listening as well. Remember, Morton against Motherwell is live on BBC Scotland Television at 7:15 this evening, with Airdrie against Hearts on BBC One Scotland from 4:30 on Sunday. Sports Scene, of course, will have highlights of all the fifth round games for you on Saturday and Sunday night. And, of course, you can catch all the action on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland. Alistair Lamont and the aforementioned Aidan McGeady will be here with you on the Scottish Football Podcast on Monday morning. And if you haven't already done so, then please subscribe and follow so you don't miss a thing. Thanks to Scott and Robbie once again. Enjoy your Cup weekend. From us, bye-bye.
The Scotland Rugby Podcast is now available every Tuesday. Join me, Andy Burke and Tom English. Just head to BBC Sounds and subscribe to the Scotland Rugby Podcast.
It's just seismic stuff.
There's bucket hats as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is this a rugby podcast or is this a fashion podcast?
Why can't it be a bit of both?
Rugby. Let's get on to rugby.
There's a lot to be excited about.
Today's guest, John McGuigan.
Clubs are at an absolute bedrock of everything Scottish rugby's about.
The Rugby Sports Sound Podcast from BBC Radio Scotland.
You cannot help but be so excited.
It's going to be the centre of the rugby universe.
BBC Sounds.